Saira. Just to recollect what we were discussing last week, Swami has talked about how the world comes into being, how the Atman initiates creation itself, that the first Sankalpa brings about the creation. Those were some of the thoughts, some of the words of Swami which we discussed. So I think we'll continue from there on. So I'll ask sisters to read where we are. Thanks.
Jivi means that which assumes prana, vital breath. The Jivi holds on the prana through his skill and intelligence. He is the Antaryamin, God spirit in all creation, who has penetrated into everything, that who sustains everything. So, the Para-Prakriti is just Paramatma itself. All that becomes manifest with the same Chaitanya has to be taken as one. Jada, inert matter, Chaitanya is consciousness, are the two essentials for the entire creation. They are the same as Prakriti, Purusha. The Chaitanya, Shakti, universal power of energy, when it entertains the idea of bhoga, luxury, expresses the world out of its own swakarma. The Jada assumes the form of the Deha, body. Both these are my nature. The Ishvara, who causes creation, preservation, and dissolution, through these is I myself. Remember, there is no substance other than me. There's no reality other than me. I am the primal cause, the primal substance. I am one. Let me become many. Thus, I myself resolve upon this expansion into manifoldness, called Shritsthi, creation. That resolution affected and motivated by Maya Shakti, power of divine delusion. And so the Mahat Tattva, cosmos principle, got produced. That was the first step in the evolution of Prakriti.
Thank you, sister. So there's, I think because we had discussed and there's nothing more for me to add. Other than, I think one of the couple of points which we had corrected last time, the idea of bhoga is something, and luxury is something which we, for those who may have not attended the class, would know that it was bhoktum was the word Swami has used, which is one who consumes, one who, one who experiences, you can say, is the Atman. Okay, so, and I think the second point which we discussed, I think, was related to the thought and the sankalpa. The translation is resolve. That's a will of the Lord to become many. And I think those were a couple of things which we discussed. I will stop here, and if anyone would like to share any thought, please go ahead.
Sairam, after that sentence about the Sankalpa, which created Shrishti, I was just wondering what the following sentence says in Telugu. In English, it says, that resolution affected and motivated the Maya Shakti. I'm just wondering what affected and motivated mean.
I think, Auntie, can you?
ఆ సంకల్పము ద్వారా మాయా శక్తిలో చలనం కలిగినది. అదే మహత్తత్వకు మారింది. That's what's written here.
Yes.
The resolution affected and motivated the Maya Shakti. And so the Mahatattva got produced. In Telugu also the same thing, Kalyani.
I think her question is what is this motivation and things like that. I think that may not be the exact.
But,
Adwara Maya Shaktilo Chalanam Kalgindi.
Chalanam Kaligindi. Chalanam. Motion.
Like set into motion?
I think the word motivated is not that. Motion took place. It began to work out. Maya started working.
I think the word motion has somehow become motivation.
That is motion. The illustration, motion is a better word, I think.
Okay.
Chalanam means there was a ruffle, there was something, something which
started moving. Chalanam is moving.
Moving.
So, like a ripple on a lake?
Yes.
Yeah. There was an imbalance which was created by Maya. So the 3 gunas were born at that time. Actually, all the 3 gunas were in balance and harmony. When Maya Shakti started moving, its motion, then the 3 gunas became very active. And then, yeah.
I think the word motivation is, causing issue, So you can say that resolution affected and moved the Maya Shakti or something like that, you can say.
Moved the Maya Shakti.
So it's a movement of the Maya Shakti which creates the Mahat Tattva. Okay, so because Maya Shakti lo chalanam kalgindi. Okay, so the Maya Shakti was animated, activated, and it moved.
So, brother, that means when the God took the multiform form, then the Maya Shakti was created. So that what is the then the Maya Shakti gave the delusion. So what is the cosmos principle then? Cosmos principle to see one thereafter. From the multiple form Maya Shakti to see one. That's the cosmos principle.
You can
see the oneness.
See, the sister, the thing is the Mahat, the word Mahat, may not have a good English equivalent. So they've used the word cosmos. You can call it cosmic or whatever, but it basically means it's the great, or the something which is vast. It's Mahat, the principle which is so big. I think that's the way to take it. But you can say the cosmic principle. Because the word tattva also means there's tat and tva, the duality of God and the creation came to be. So that initial difference between God or the Tat Brahman and the world, I think is Mahat Tattva. That's my end. Auntie, you would like to comment on it, or anyone else, please?
Mahabuddhi. Mahat is Mahat. Mahabuddhi was the first product. Swami also says there. Mahatatvanga marindi. Mahatattva yokka swarupam.
Auntie, I will just interrupt. Swami, okay. Mahat Tattvama marindi. It did not say produced. It changed into Mahat Tattva.
So,
Maya chalanam kalgindi, ade Mahatatvamga marindi.
Yes. So it evolved. It transformed itself into Mahat Tattva, you can say.
So what is this paragraph says then? So God is the substance of everything. So he took the manifolds. Manifolds created the Maya Shakti. That's to see, like we don't see everything. Out of that, we have, that is created the delusion. Then we have to see Mahatattva as one. Is that the way it goes? I'm trying to understand the connection, like how it was explained.
I think how Swami is explaining, sister, there was a first resolve to become many.
Okay.
That resolve right away moved the Maya Shakti. And as soon as the Maya Shakti moved, that changed itself into Mahat Tattva. So that means become the cosmic, the world came to being. So there is, at that point in time, there was Tat and Tvam. Because the entire creation is called Tvam. But the Tat is the Brahman. But it is the Tat itself which has become the Tvam. Okay, so it just changed into Mahat Tattva, which is the cosmos. I think that's the way Kasturi Gari has translated. But it did not become many and then Maya. No. As soon as that resolve happened, that resolve is happening, taking place through this process. And Swami said that was the first step in the evolution of Prakriti. I hope.
So when we are reading, we will understand what is that cosmos principle then.
I think Swami is speaking about it a little more. Maybe we should ask sisters to read the next, because there's one more paragraph, I think, in English and a few more sentences in Telugu.
Can I just ask one quick question before we move on?
Yeah.
It says the Ishvara who causes creation, preservation, and dissolution. So is Ishvara, like, what is the connection between Ishvara and like Parabrahman?
Okay. Anyone who would like to?
Yeah.
Yes, Auntie.
Brahman, Nirakara Brahman, when he took the Maya, this Prakriti, when he took the power, it's his power. With that power, Maya Shakti, he became Ishvara.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who is creator and preserver and dissolutionist. That's the difference. Ishvara, he's called Ishvara.
So it's like he took on attributes, like to become Ishvara?
No attribute. It's Maya Shakti, his own power. Out of his own power, he became Ishvara, then his creation took place.
Okay.
So it's manifestation, from the unmanifest to the manifest also, you can say, Kalyan. So did he come, did he create himself? No, he just manifested himself at that point in time.
So is Ishvara also like attributeless and that kind? Okay.
Is Saguna Brahman is Ishvara.
Oh, so Saguna means with attributes, right?
Yes, you can say.
I think so.
Nirguna Nirakara, from the Nirguna Nirakara, which is the unmanifest. Then he takes a form also. That is the Swarupa and Swabhava. Okay, that's with Saguna Brahman. Then the forms get created and things like that, which is Prakriti.
Okay, so Ishvara is the same as Saguna Brahman?
Yeah, you could say so. Yeah.
If a seed is planted in the earth and watered, in a day or two, it will drink in the moisture and swell in size. The sprouting has not yet taken place, but the first change is this. The Mahat Tattva is a happening of this type. Next, in accordance with the will of the Lord, a sprout arises. That is called Mahadamkaram.
Ahadankara.
Ahadamkaram.
Ahankara.
Mahad Ahankara.
The primordial ego. From it, 5 leaves break forth, the subtle principles of the 5 elements. The entire Jagat world is the combined product of these 8. Prakriti Shakti, Mahatattva, Ahamkaram, and the 5 elements of Panjabhutas.
Yeah.
Sairam, I think in Shandeya Nivarani also, Swami has talked about it. He's talking about the 1 which becomes 2, the 2 becomes 3, from 3, 5 come into being. So I thought just I will point that out. So that is that's a form of how things manifest and become this world, that creation, which takes on the gunas, I think, which is what Kalyani was asking about. Because the 2, when it becomes 3, it becomes the 3 gunas. Swami says from that, the 5 elements come into being is what Swami. I think the problem is, all these 2, 3, 5, which we understand is all part of the created world and the concepts in the dual world. And the creation itself is beyond that, in unmanifest to manifest trans. So that has been explained in various ways, and Krishna's explanation is being repeated by Swami repeated by Swami himself again in these words. I think another point which I think I wanted to see, if even the individual is the same as the cosmos, anoranyam. Each one is actually a micro version of the same thing, which is the Mahat version. So that's a Mahat Ahangaram. There is a concept of Aham, which is universal. And then each of us also take a spark of that, and we also have that little Aham. So Jivatma also has the same thing. So that's the difference between Mahat and us individuals.
Like a few pages ago, Swami was saying that the 5 elements, manas, buddhi, and ahamkara, these 8 varieties of prakriti have produced the sthula, sukshma, prapancha, the gross and subtle in creation. And here Swami is also talking about 8 things, like the 5 elements, and then ahamkara, mahat tattva, and prakriti shakti. I'm just wondering, is there some difference between what he was talking about before and now?
I think my view is it's the same, Kalyani, but I will ask, it's exact.
పంచభూతములు మనోబుద్ధి అహంకారములను 8 విధములైన ప్రకృతి చేతనే యావత్తు సూక్ష్మ జడ ప్రపంచము నిర్మితమైనది. Here Swami is using మనోబుద్ధి అహంకార. Same thing actually. It is.
Yeah, it's the same thing, Kalyani. There's no difference.
Yeah, buddhi is that mahat. Ahankara, of course, it is there here.
So then the prakriti shakti.
So prakriti shakti, I think that's the word. So I'm using the same word, prakriti shakti. I think there's sometimes another word which is used is over mind. Something like that. People say there's the manomaya kosha at the cosmic level is also one of them, which may be the prakriti shakti which Swami is. So again, manas buddhi, as Auntie was telling, mahatattva is also mahabuddhi.
Buddhi and ahankar.
So that is equal to mind.
Yeah, at the micro level, we can call it the mind, but Swami is calling it prakriti shakti or maya shakti or whatever at the cosmic level.
That may be correct too. Prakriti Shakti and Maya Shakti is affected by mind, right? So that may be that. To say mind is like that.
I think we talked about it last week also. The initial sankalpa comes from beyond the mind, and it first passes through the mind. Okay. I think I was giving the example, you were sleeping. Mind is also at rest. As soon as we awake, that waking up actually happens from something deep within. So that, there is a rustle, and then the mind wakes up. And when the mind wakes up, we open the eyes and then we see the world. So the thing is that Sankalpa first passes through this Maya Shakti, which is similar to what our mind is. Okay, that then the mind opens and the eyes right away open and things like that. Just the way we wake up from sleep. So the same way, so you can say Manas, Buddhi, and Ahankara. So I hope, Kalyani, is it okay? Yeah?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
And one more point which I would like to add here, 5 elements are Panchabhutas, it's Tanmatras. It is the Sukshma Panchabhutas were born first. Then the grossification takes place afterwards.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you.
Auntie, can you repeat again, please? Sukshma born first? And the Panchabhutas, yes. So the mind thing, that's 3 things born first, then
the 5 elements.
5 elements.
Which were born first, they are Shabda, Rupa, Sparsha, Gandha. That's the 5 elements in a very subtle form. They were created. First they came out. First they were manifested, rather. Afterwards, these 5 Panchabhutas have, it's called, it grossifies, it acts with other elements and then it becomes grossified. That's what is called Panchamahabhuta.
Sorry, Auntie, just adding to what you were saying, Swami had told in the discourse, like, you have Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, and Gandha. So when from the Atman, first the sky came, only Shabda was the attribute of sky or ether, what we call.
Yeah.
And then from the sky, when we had wind come from it, it took on another attribute of both Shabda and Sparsha, which is both sound and touch.
Yeah.
And then from Vayu, when Agni came, fire element came, it took on one more attribute from Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa. And then from Agni, when it went to water, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa came. And finally from water, when earth came, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, and Gandha. All the attributes came. And that is how it went on going from the subtle to the gross, or from the causal to the subtle, and from subtle to the gross as such, the whole transition.
Yeah, it's called Panchikarana. They're called Panchikarana. Each element takes the other 4 attributes and then they grossify.
Here, does Swami use the word tan? Sorry. Is it tanmatras that Swami is saying instead of Panchabhutas?
No, it's Panchabhuta only, but just I added 5 elements. In Telugu, it is called Sukshma. Sukshma Maha Panchabhutamalu, it is written.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even the previous paragraph, which Kalyani was referring, Swami says, 8 varieties of Prakriti produce Sthula, Sukshma, Prapancha. So I think what Auntie was telling was, before the Sthula came into being, there was a Sukshma level also, the Panchabhutas existed.
Yeah.
Then we saw that, like for example, if we say Akasha, we will just think the space which is around us. But there's actually, if we go back to Sandhyanivana, Swami will say Chidakasha, Chittakasha, and then Bhutakasha came.
Yeah.
Bhutakasha is the most grossest form of Akasha. But Chittakasha, there's a space within our own Chittam also. And Swami says there is Chidakasha. In the Chit level also there is Akasha. So what Auntie is talking about is, at that level, the Chit level, there was an Akasha. There was the other 4 elements which got created. And they again become at the Sukshma level. That's that Sukshma level. And then we see what is around us. If say Prithvi, earth, we think it's only Stula, but that's what we can feel. But there's a Sukshma Prithvi also. I think that's what Auntie wanted to mention. Because initially it is first the Sukshma which gets created. Then from that, the Stula, which is the grossification, happens. And the whole process of these 5 elements coming is called Panchikaranam. And these 5 elements combine with each other to produce different things. And I think there is in one of the Vahinis, Swami is talking about which elements form our ear, which elements form our nose, eyes, and things like that. So that's a way of creation, extra additional layers and layers. And that happens because of these 5 elements combining them with each other in different ways. And that's the grossification process. I think the reason for Auntie is because Swami has used the word Sukshma in the...
Yeah, it is written here.
Yeah.
Ave Sukshma Panchabhutamalu, Prakriti okati, Prakriti Shakti okati, Mahatattvam okati, Ahankaram okati. Ee Panchabhutamalu anniyu cheri 8. Ee 8 Jada Jagattu erpadindi. Jada Jagat is gross world, gross universe.
So all that is not mentioned in the translation.
Yeah,
so Swami said, Ave Sukshma Panchabhutamalu. So I think that's what Auntie want to highlight. Initially, it was Sukshma Panchabhutamalu. Then they, in turn, created the Jada, which is more gross. I think, here also it's mentioned because from it, the 5 leaves break for the subtle principles of 5 elements. I think it's in the translation, Sukshma. And the second last sentence or third last sentence or second last sentence. It says subtle principles of the 5 elements, which is what Auntie wants.
5 leaves break for subtle principles of the 5 elements.
I think if everyone is okay, we will just proceed. Swami will still continue to talk about, in the next entire chapter is also about creation and, Sthula, Sukshma, and how we deal with it.
The apara prakriti, transient nature, about which I speak, is just a manifestation of my Shakti, my glory, remember. Seen superficially, with the gross vision, the Sthula Drishti, the universe might appear as many. But that is wrong. There's no many at all. The yearning of the inner consciousness, the Antakarana, is towards the one. That is the real drishti, vision point of view. When the inner vision is saturated with jnana, the jagat or creation will be seen as Brahman and as nothing else. Therefore, the inner consciousness must be educated to interest itself only in jnana. The jagat is saturated with the Jagadisa, Lord of the universe. Creation is nothing but the creator in that form. Aishavasyam idam.
Ishavasyam
idam sarvam. It is said, all this is God. Though there is only one, it appears as many. Let us remind ourselves of an example with reference to this statement of Krishna. We walk in the thick dusk of evening, when things are seen but dimly. A rope lies higgledy on the path. Each one who sees it has his own idea of what it is, though it is really just a length of rope. One steps across it, taking it to be a garland. Another takes it to be a mark made by running water and threads on it. A third man imagines it to be a vine, a creeper plucked from off a tree and fallen on the path. Some others are scared that it is a snake, is it not?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So as we can see, Swami is actually explaining to us, based on whatever we see, there's what are the layers which are beneath that. So Swami wants us to recognize. Actually, the paragraph starts with the apara prakriti, but actually in Telugu, Swami is saying, Bhagawanudaina Sri Krishnudi inkanu.
దీనినే అపరాకృతి అని కూడా అందరూ. అది కేవలము నా శక్తి ప్రభావమే. బావ, స్థూల దృష్టికి ప్రపంచమున అనేకములు ఉండినట్లు కనిపించినను అందులో అనేకములు లేవు, ఏక స్వరూపమే.
So Swami starting with says, Krishna who is God, then saying this, is he saying that sentence is not there. I just, the one who is speaking is God himself. I think that was something which Swami has said in the Telugu. It didn't get translated. So I thought I'll just point that out. I will stop here if anyone has something to add. Swami is talking about antakarana drishti. Okay. Yes, Brother Dasan, please go ahead.
Sairam, brother. So according to this sentence, I like to add to this one. So if we develop our inner vision with jnana, even though the prakriti, we can see different forms and everything, but once we develop that one, we are not going to see anything different. The behind of that one is only one form, that is Ishvara. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I think
is the manifold is equivalent to the duality of state, right? So yes, thanks. So after it comes, we see as one. It's actually is one. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the word Swami has used is antakarana vritti. So translated as the yearning of the inner consciousness. Okay, so I don't know how accurate the translation is. Inner instrument is antakarana. The work of the antakarana, the real antakarana's real work is that drishti which sees the divine. Which I also can say, when you look inwards, you will see only one. And that is the real work of the antakarana. And Swami says, jnana mayamu. So when we see that one with antakarana, that is called jnana. I think Swami said. Sorry, Auntie.
The multiplicity what we witness in the outside world is not many. It's only one. When you look at it with antakarana drishti, antakarana vritti, that is the gnanamaya drishti. Swami says it is gnanamaya, it's full of gnana. Gnana that this world is created in multiple forms, but there is only oneness in there. That's we can see that oneness only when we develop that kind of vision. the inner vision.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, so where it says the antakarana vritti is toward the one, what it means is like the antakarana vritti, or the real work of the antakarana, is to see one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swami is repeating it a couple of times, you know. He's saying Kana antakarana vritti jnanamayamu kavalanu. Your inner effort should become jnanamaya.
Inner view, inner vision. Inner vision should become jnanamaya. Deenine drishti ane anduru. In the brackets, it's given drishti.
Yes. And even that also is again repeating, auntie, you know.
Yeah. No, first he said antakarana vritti.
Yes.
In the brackets, it is deenine drishti ane anduru.
Yes. Jnanamayamu.
And then in the English where it says, therefore, the inner consciousness, that should be antakarana, right? Must be educated to interest itself only in jnana.
Yes, yes. Yeah. That's right. Because, you know, the word vritti is very difficult to translate in English. So I think in this case, he has said it should be educated to interest itself, you know, so. What Swami is saying, Kana antakarana vritti jnanamayamu kavalanu. It should become jnanamaya. It should be filled with jnana. You know, that kind of.
The moment of thought is called vritti, I think, in the mind.
Yes.
Movement of thought in the mind is called vritti.
Vritti is another word which is like occupation, vocation.
There are other meanings also. Nivritti is retirement.
So, but the real job of antakarana is to function in a jnanamaya way.
Jnanamaya.
It's jnana. You know, I think we can take it that way.
In the word Isha Vasyam, what is a Vasyam?
Everything is resided by God. God is the resident.
God resides in everything.
Okay.
Isha Vasyam, idam sarvam. Everything. Idam sarvam. Isha Vasya. Isha resides.
See, idam here means generally the translation is this, but it's, the creation it's also called idam.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Like tat and tvam, idam, I am idam, you know, like that. That and this. Okay. So idam is that, all that creation. Whatever we see. Another way to translate Isha Vasyam is everything should be resided by God. You know, Vasya. That is the that's the way they have to be. See, if we see something, if we do not see God, that should not be the case. We should see God in everything, as God is resident in everything. Okay. Like generally we'll see, you know, Partivasa means in Parti he resides. Okay, but Vasya means God should reside also. You know, God, that is the right way to do things. That yam, you know, yam does that kind of meaning. So that means whatever we see should be saturated with God. So that way also we can take. Because if I think one of the questions we ask is, if God is everywhere, why don't we feel him? So no, we should see God as a resident. You know, everything becomes real creation only when there's God resident in that. So that's where the Isavasyam. Okay, so
the Upanishad, which has the name of Ishavasya.
yes.
There is an Upanishad called Ishavasya Upanishad.
Ishopanishad.
Ishopanishad, and it got its name from this.
So, Saram brother.
Yes.
Isavasyam, can we compare our body? So Atma is there. So Atma is the same way. The whole prapanja, the whole universe is Lord's body. That means he is the one, and the whole universe is his body. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So Vasya has a few meanings. Which is covered also is Vasyam. And that which is enveloped, you know, is also Vasyam. So if everyone is okay, we will move on.
The second paragraph.
Okay, go back.
For Sarparajunyaya, that is called.
So Swami is, I think, talking about the drishti. You know, if we see, you know, our drishti is affected by, you know, some other thoughts, we don't see the reality. You know, we imagine it to be multiple things.
So, Uncle, you know, you were saying how we should see God as resident in everything. So, I mean, you know, I try my best to see only good things and everything. But if if you do come across something bad, for example, and like it's so hard to see God in that, like what do you do? How do you reconcile that? Like,
when did Swami say God is good? Because God is beyond good and bad. The thing is, we don't even differentiate, or is it good or bad? The good or bad exists only on the layer level. How it is comes out, for example, you know, if somebody does bad. So in this case, let's take Rama. He is fighting with Ravana. Okay. And then the question can arise, if Rama saw only divine in Ravana, why did he fight? Okay, that's the question people will ask. Rama did not fight with Ravana with anger. Okay, what he said was, oh, if there is something which is not appropriate there, which should be removed. You know, if we take a plantain, you know, a banana, and we look at the skin and say, this is not edible. You know, we will not be able to digest it. So we just remove it. Okay, so it is just being treated as, it's given the appropriate treatment according to what we perceive as the guna of the external layer. But still, we know that there's a banana inside. Okay, so in this world, that is the way to treat. So if you see good and bad, it's like, you know, you are a doctor, you know, if you know, a surgeon who goes to treat a patient, okay, he cuts open And he knows if there is a growth which is not supposed to be there, he will remove it. He's not going to say, oh, this is a bad thing, from an emotional perspective. He will just know that this is not the right thing for it to be there. It should be removed. So ideally, while doing all this, the person is separate from this. We are trying to save the person. So the doctor knows the person is different compared to the organs which are there and any growth which is there. So the thing is, even when we see the world, we should always recognize there is a person. That Purusha, the Atman, is resident. I think that's all we can say. And we should know that Atman is not the growth. The growth has happened to that person who is inside a body. And the body has good and bad. And if you want to look at it, a good body is a healthy body. What is not unhealthy, you discriminate. But those two are not the person. Okay, that is a condition to which a person is subjected. So same way, when we see Atman, we should know that Atman is the underlying inner thing which is there. And if we ignore that, then we will fight with the external things. Okay. So we see a rope. And, it looks like snake means, so it's a bad thing. Okay. And so what will you do? You will, beat the snake or something like that. Okay. But if Swami will say, just put the light on, you won't even see the snake. That the light on is jnana. So we will use the piece of information accordingly without ignoring the fact there's underlying it all, there is the Atma. I hope that...
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, because this is an eternal thing, If others are divine, others are, the Atman within them is divine. But if the vasanas and, if their gunas, 3 gunas are different, we have to deal with it accordingly. Okay, so that's why if you say Rama, Krishna, they all also took up certain tasks, which may seem very human. And, they, killed people and all that. Because they were not removing the blemish. They were not telling this person should not exist. That's why when Krishna killed Shishupala, there was a light which merged in Krishna. Things like that. Because Krishna was aware of that. Okay, so I hope I answered that question to my ability, my understanding. I will ask others to add if anyone has something to say, please.
So, Sairam, brother, I'd like to add to the point too. If we take the Purusa and the Prakriti, so whatever we are looking at the Prakriti, only we are not thinking about the Purusa. Purusa is the one giving the changes for the Prakriti. So, but Purusa is one. The Prakriti is many. If you understand that one, if everyone, then you'll understand the God is only one. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother. So then if there are no questions or discussions, maybe we'll move on.
Similarly, the one Parabrahman, without any change or transformation affecting it, being all the time it and it only manifests as the prapancha, created world, of manifold names and forms, the cause of all the seeming being the dusk of Maya, delusion. The rope might appear as many things. It might provoke various feelings and reactions on various people. It has become the basis for variety, but it never changes into the many. It is never one. It is ever one. The rope is ever the rope. It does not become the garland or the streak of water or the creeper or the snake. Brahman might be misinterpreted in a variety of ways, but it is ever Brahman only. For all the various interpretations, Brahman is the one real basis. Like the string for the garland, the foundation for the building, Brahman is the string that penetrates and holds together the garland of jivis. It is the foundation for the structure of Prakriti. Note this. The string and the structure are not visible. Only the flowers and the building are evident. That does not mean they are non-existent. In fact, they support the flowers and the building. Well, you can know of their existence and their value by a little effort at reasoning. If you do not take the trouble, they escape your notice. Reason, examine, and you can arrive at the string that holds the flowers together and the foundation hidden in the earth. Do not be misled by the adheya, the contained, the thing held, into denying the adhara, the holder, the container, the bliss, the support. If you deny it, you miss the truth and hold on to the delusion. Reason and discriminate, then believe and experience.
Thank you, sister. So, Swami is again insisting that we should go to the source, what is beneath, and what is the foundation, the basis. He does not want us to ever forget. And those are the thoughts which come to me. I will just open it up for anyone to share your thoughts, please. Saira.
I think a couple of slides ago, we were talking about how there was the movement, the Sankalpa resulted in the movement of the Maya Shakti, and then the Mahat Tattva, it changed into the Mahat Tattva. And then Swami says that was the first step in the evolution of Prakriti. I think in Telugu, you had said it said Parinamam.
Yes.
So it's talking about transformation, but here Swami's saying without any change or transformation affecting it. In the first sentence.
Oh, I see. Okay. Auntie, Telugulo.
Oh, Auntie, you're muted.
ఉన్నది ఒకటే అయినప్పటికీ అనేకములుగా గోచరించునని కృష్ణ పరమాత్మ చెప్పిన విషయములలో మనం ఒక ఉదాహరణ స్మరింతుము.
Okay, Auntie, we will just.
That is fair.
That's all.
Yeah.
So, you see, again, English. So, unnadi okate.
Okay.
Though one exists, ayinappatikini means even if it is so, anekam muluga
gocharinchu.
Okay. That's what it means. It appears as many. That's all Swami is told in there.
It's not completely transforming itself into many. It appears. The whole world is an appearance to us.
So Swami has not told anything else, Kalyani. It's a good catch. But as you can see, when you read the translation, you will see sometimes things are, can cause some confusion. Just the way, the rope is appearing as many, the translation can give rise to, many ideas. So actually Swami is saying the one is perceived as many. One is seen, gocharinchu.
Gocharinchu. Anekamuluga gocharinchu.
Appears as many. Let's put it that way, and that's all.
Oh.
It appears as many. It's not undergoing any change there.
As you can see, Swami, that's why in Telugu it's all spashed in very, very clear.
Clear.
Absolutely no confusion. But I know, that there's a whole sentence, it's there's so much packed there, but in English translation, none of that exists in the Telugu. Yes, Brother Dasan, please go.
Yeah, so Saram, brother. So this is the reason, even if you go to temple or centers or any spiritual places, we put the garland to the God that we to make us to realize everything is connected to the Paramatma with a thread. But that one we cannot see, but all the rest we can see it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Very nice.
Just the very last sentence where it says reason and discriminate, then believe and experience. I guess, what are the words that Swami uses?
Okay. 1 minute. Reason and discriminate, and then believe and experience. దీనిని తెలుసుకొనుటకు విచారణ సలుపుట చక్కని మార్గము. దీనిని అనుభవమునకు తెచ్చుకొని వారులకు అనేక విధముల చెప్పనవసరము లేదు. Not exactly reason discriminate is given.
Auntie, where is the Adhara?
Adhar, yeah, in the page 90, second paragraph.
Yes.
About 8-9 sentences.
దీనికి ఆధారమైన మాత్రము బ్రహ్మము, అదే మనకు ప్రధానము కావలను మూల అందు అయోగ్యమైన
జీవుల యోగ్యత అయోగ్యత మనకు ప్రధానము కాదు. Whether they are fit or unfit, it doesn't matter to us. దీనికి ఆధారమైన సూత్రము బ్రహ్మము. The string which is more important than the different kinds of flowers. There may be ayogyamaina puvulu, not good flowers are also there.
Yes.
Yes.
జీవులు తామసిక రాజసిక
సాత్వికములైన భేదములతో జీవులు, the jivas are different type, tamasika, rajasika, satvika, but Paramatma, he doesn't mind it. పాటించక అతీత స్థాయిలో సత్య నిత్య నిర్ముడై నిండి ఉండను.
What you are reading now is in the future paragraph for us.
Okay. Future paragraph. No, Adhara ade we were discussing.
The tamasic, rajasic, that comes in a couple
that
paragraphs.
Will come next paragraph, I think.
So Swami is just talking about Swami says దీనిని తెలుసుకొనుటకు విచారణ సలుపుట చక్కని. So Swami is saying to understand this we need to analyze.
We need to inquiry is necessary.
దీనిని అనుభవమునకు తెచ్చుకొను వారికి అనేక విధముల
చెప్పనవసరం లేదు. We don't have to tell them in many times.
So what Swami said, if you want, those who experience need not be explained to. That's all, Kalyani. But this, if you deny it and you miss the truth and hold on to the delusion, reason and discriminate, then believe and experience. I think that's all it is. Swami says, inquire and experience.
Brother, that if you deny, that means this is for the Swami is talking about the string and the structure is not visible, that we shouldn't deny that. So that is the truth.
Yeah.
So the outside is a kind of delusion. So you have to understand the basic, the truth. Then you can believe and experience. Then you can experience. That's what it comes from there.
When you see the garland,
Yes.
we don't see the string. But that doesn't mean that string doesn't exist. Same as when you see a huge building, foundation is there. We can't see the foundation. But do you think that without foundation, the building will come up? No. So those things which are not seen, we have to have that belief and experience it.
Yes.
That's what Swami is trying to say.
So, Sairam brother, I'd like to add to the point reason and discriminate. If you see the rope and you think it's a snake or serpent, but you have to discriminate. You have to turn on the light and then you can believe that is not a serpent, it's a snake, and you can experience that one. Thank you.
You need knowledge there. You need knowledge.
Yes.
Light is like a knowledge, which tells you this is not a snake, this is a rope.
Yes, Auntie.
So where it says reason, examine, and you can arrive at the string that holds the flowers. So what Swami is saying is vicharana.
One word, vicharana.
Okay.
Those are the two words Swami has used. I think the word vicharana has been translated as reason and discriminate. Anubhava is being translated as believe and experience.
Anubhava is described as.
So Swami has just used two words, Kalyani, and so they have used 4 words to explain those 2 words.
Okay.
And Swami says people who do this need not be explained to. They don't need to be explained. You don't require explanation.
So when he says anubhava, it just means to experience the truth?
Yeah, so we should inquire and experience. Yeah, the truth, which is basically what basically Swami is saying, you need to understand what is underneath, what is the support. That only can be inquired and experienced. That's what Swami is saying. Okay. If there's a tree, the root is there is an inquiry process. The tree, though we see the tree outside, there has to be something. For example, if there's a building, we need to know there is a foundation which is actually holding it. And if you walk on the building and if it doesn't fall down, the foundation is strong. It is something like that, So that's what can be, that's the inquiry and experience process is that. Because we cannot experience the foundation, but we can experience the fact that this building is strong, and by inquiry know that there's a foundation which is holding it strong. If there is no foundation and if there's a building, we climb on it, it will fall down, and then that will be our experience that there's no foundation. There's something of that sort. I think that's what I can understand. Because it's not easily understandable. As Dasan said, we put a garland, the flowers. Then someone can say, how are the flowers sticking together? Okay, that inquiry will make us understand that there's a thread which goes. And when you hold the garland, we will also know, we will experience that there's a thread which is connecting all the flowers. Okay. That is
so also Brahman is the real basis. Brahman is the real basis on which we see the manifold names and forms of this world. So we cannot see Brahman, but when we look at this manifold universe, we have to understand that it is the real basis is Brahman. So our vision should be to see that it is all Brahmamayam. Sorry.
I think that is why Kalyani has put the word believe and experience, and because I think Kasturi would have said, people will think, how can you experience something, which you can't see, which you can't feel. And so I think that's why he used the word believe and experience. That means you need to, it's a belief that there is something. And then, and that belief is the experience itself, that gives you the confidence. You can walk on it or whatever. I think he must have struggled with it. But then there is another element to it. Swami said, once you know that divinity is something which is experienceable, because it is not just, even the building and all, we cannot experience the foundation. But divinity is something, once you know that it is there, you can inquire and you can tap on it, and then that divinity is experienceable. Okay, so I think, yeah, we can continue on, I think.
For the seen, there is an unseen bias.
Basis.
Sorry, basis. To grasp the unseen, the best means is inquiry, and the best proof is experience. For those who have experienced, no description is needed. The nature and qualifications of individual beings are not important at all. They should not distract our attention, concentrate rather on the inner reality, the basis of all the beings, the Brahman, that is essential quest. There may be many varieties of flowers in a garland, even trivial ones, tamasic jivis, or flashy ones, rajasic jivis, or nice pure ones, sattvic jivis, but the string, the basis of Paramatma, is independent of all of them. It is unaffected. It is Satya Nitya, unaffected by time. Nirmala, pure, unaffected by desire. Flowers cannot become a garland without the string. So too, Brahman unites all jivis. You cannot separate the two in all things and substances. Brahman fills everything. The five elements are but its manifestations. It is the inner motive, unseen by those who look only at the surface. It is the Antaryamin, God Spirit in all creation. In other words, that is why Krishna said, I am rasa, taste, in water. I am effulgence, prabha, in the sun and moon. I am the pranava, Om, the original sound in the Vedas. I am sound in the akasa, space. I am Purusham, heroism, adventure, and aspiration in man.
Thank you, Victor. And Swami is further explaining to us about this experience. I think here only the first paragraph talks about what we read in the Telugu, that, it has to be inquired and experienced.
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead. I will stop here.
For the seen and unseen. There is the best means is inquiry. Which line you need, Arun? Which one?
The sentence which we read in Telugu,
Ah.
Vicharana Anubhava, is the first paragraph here.
Aneka vidamula చెప్పవలసిన లేదు. అంతకాని పూసలైన జీవుల యోగ్యత అయోగ్యత. That is,
that's the nature and qualification of individual beings.
Yeah, correct. పూసలైన జీవుల యోగ్యత అయోగ్యత మనకు ప్రధానము కాదు. దీనికి ఆధారమైన సూత్రము బ్రహ్మము. అదే మనకు ప్రధానము. కేవలము మాల అందమునకు అయోగ్యమైన పువ్వులు కూడాను చేర్చవచ్చును. So many varieties of flowers, even trivial ones are also flashy ones. That is what he తామసిక రాజసిక సాత్వికములైన భేదములతో ఉన్నను పరమాత్మ వాటిని పాటించక అతీత స్థాయిలో సత్య నిత్య నిర్మలుడై నిండి ఉండును. దండకు దారము అండయై ఉండును. దారము లేక పువ్వులు దండ కాలేవు. అటులనే బ్రహ్మం లేక జీవులను వేరు చెయ్య వీలు లేదు. సాధ్యము కాదు. అన్సీన్ కనిపించిన దానికి కనిపించిన ఆధారం ఒకటి.
But there is a little bit of diversion, but I want to ask that question though. Because it says those who have experience, no description is needed. On Sanskrit side, we are studying the Rudram. In the Rudram, so experience, Rishi is saying but how he has experienced it. And Dhyana Loka comes to tell the description of it. So how the description is not needed here. So when the description is needed to meditate on, to understand more towards the oneness. So that's something that came to my mind with respect. See what's your thoughts. Thank you, sir.
I don't know what the contradiction is, sister, because Swami is saying for those who have experienced, no description is needed. They don't have to, no one can need to explain to them for a person who has experience. But for those who have not experienced, will definitely need some description. Okay, so because they have not experienced, for them to get that experience, you describe it. So that person also can experience it.
Okay, that is shared by them, or that description is not needed because, but they shared for the other people to benefit. Exactly. Okay, got it. Thank you.
You see, if you have eaten an apple, you don't need an apple description. But someone who has not seen an apple, don't know if they go to the market what to buy. For them, you have to tell them this is the way apple will look. You show them a picture. They have still not eaten. But then they have to look at the picture and figure out what it is, go to the market, find the fruit, take the fruit and eat the fruit. For all that purpose, you need the description and the picture. Okay. But for a person who has eaten the apple, he doesn't need the picture, he doesn't need anything. Okay. So that's the difference, sister.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, what is yogya and ayogya?
Yogya means that which is
the unfit ones and the fit ones. Exactly. That's all. Yogya.
Okay.
Bad and good, Kalyani. Yogya means good, means fit, proper. Improper is ayogya, that's not fit. Okay, so that's where the duality comes into. That's what Swami says. Yogya and ayogya is outside of the thread. The adhara does not have. Adheya has all these qualifications. But Swami says, go beyond, don't get this distract you. Always first remember the thing which is underneath, and then you look at the rest.
Is it related to the word yoga? Is it a different word?
No.
So, no, you can say yoga. See, I was telling that year means it is fit. Only then you can attain yoga. Yogya means if you have yogyata only, you can attain yoga. So that's a requirement. So that's why vasya. So means that's a requirement. So vasa is, once you know vasya, then you know vasa. When you know see, if you know what is good, then only you can attain God. What is fit, then you can attain the result. So from that you can say. So gear, as soon as you put that year, that's the condition, that's the requirement. Okay. I think
there is a question from Brother Sitaraman, I think.
Sitaram is asking what comes first, experience or faith? So a nice question he has asked. Do we need experience first or faith first? Anyone
faith
would like
first. Always faith, brother.
Both ways.
So brother,
both ways goes.
So brother Dasan says, he will eat the apple only if he has faith that the apple will taste good. So if you don't have faith, we may not even eat the apple. But once we eat the apple, we get the experience, and after experience, faith is not needed.
Faith is strengthened, rather.
Faith is strengthened. Thank you. Validated of India,
Yeah.
Confirm what you believed in as. Okay. Anyone else would like to share? That is, Swami always gives the example. Okay, Sister Ranjini, please go ahead.
Yes, here you say it is the Brahman is independent of all of them. It is unaffected. It is Satya, Nitya, Nirmala. Could you explain to us, please?
Okay, that's okay. Good question, sister. Anyone who would like to comment on this question? That God is Satya, Nitya, Nirmala.
So, brother. So yeah. God always Satya, is a truth. God, we cannot see him. The form, that's what we call Nirgun. What's the third one, brother? Satya, Nirgun.
Satya, Nitya, and Nirmala.
Always. That is Nitya mean always. That is absolute, always.
So I think, sister, the question is, is the thread, which is connecting, is it Satya, Nitya, or Nirmala? I think that's the question you asked. So I think, as brother explained, because that thread does not change, it does not have any qualities. You want beautiful, it's bad, it's good, it has spoiled, which happens to the flowers which are strung on it. So nothing can touch it, because from that sense, it is, it's the thread in the garland is just only an analogy or an example. But the Atman, Swami says, it's Satya, which always remains. It does not change. It's not unaffected by time. It does not take on qualities.
Okay.
That's
Thank you.
Here it says Nirmala is unaffected by desire, or is it just Mala just means any kind of impurity?
Yes, that's all.
Desire, I don't think it is.
This is what happens in translation.
No, I don't think so.
Fortunately, they have not removed the Sanskrit words, so we know. Yeah, so Satya is that which is true at all times. Nitya, which is not changed. It doesn't undergo change because of any time. Nirmala is, it does not have any impurity.
Okay.
The string is not bothered about the kinds of beads which are thrown on. It is pure, it is unaffected. Whatever kind of bead you just throw, get into it, it accepts it. That's it. That's how Paramatma is. Paramatma is unaffected by all these sattvic jivi or rajasic jivi or tamasic jivi. It doesn't matter to him. He protects everyone. He is independent of Allah. He doesn't, these qualities don't affect Paramatman.
Thank you, Auntie. See, and the last paragraph, I think, I am the Rasa in water, I am the effulgence. See, the Paurisham in man, Dusha and things like that. So the Swami say that essence in everyone, in everything, that is the divinity.
In 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Swami is referring to Vibhuti Yoga.
Yes.
These are all divine there. And the rasa in water, effulgence in sun and moon. I'm the pranava in the Vedas. I'm shabda in akasha. Paurusham in man.
Everyone is okay. Maybe we'll just read the next.
I'll just ask, in this paragraph, it says, it is the inner motive unseen by those who look only at the surface. Inner motive, is it just...
Okay, we can just... Auntie is there. It's Auntie.
What is Kalyani's question?
He's asking the 5 elements are, but its manifestations. It is the inner motive unseen by those who look only at the surface. I'm just trying to see.
Motive unseen by those who look at on the surface.
And Pranava and all that, just before that, Auntie.
Before that, it comes. Prapanchamana sarva padarthamulandu panchabhutamulandu tanu nindiyundiyu paiki gocharamugaka antaryami. That is.
Yes, that's the one, Auntie.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah. Antaryami annitlo unnanu.
Yeah, so he's in. Yes, I mean.
Sarva padarthamulandu panchabhutamulandu tanu nindiyundiyu paiki gocharamugaka. He is not seen. Even though he pervades the whole thing. He is not seen. He is antaryami there. Looking at the surface.
Because the question is, you said it's the inner motive. I think that's the way. Because
motive is not.
I think antaryami, the word antaryami.
Antaryami. It is the antaryami, inner motive. Paiki gocharamugaka, exactly. That is, it is translated as inner motive.
Yeah, I know.
It's not seen by.
Yeah.
So Kalyani, the word Antaryami has been translated as inner motive.
Inner motive, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the yama means that itself movement, I think from that sense, the motion and motive, I think that's the issue here, I hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know whether we should read because it's 4:26.
Yeah, I think we should.
Maybe we have enough things. I think we read quite a bit today. So
yeah, lots.
Yes, Brother Dasan, please go ahead.
Brother Sitaram asked a question, the faith and the experience.
Yes.
I like to ask him, brother, before getting married, we get experience or faith? Faith is the one. Getting married, yeah.
I think Sitaram may not be there.
Sitaram not talking. I don't. He's posting the questions only.
Sairam, Brother Dasan, thank you.
Sairam, good to hear.
I'm not speaking.
Voice.
Yeah, got the experience now. Thank you.
Very good.
No, I raised this question because in one of the talks I heard that Swami telling having love for having experience is important than faith, because sometimes you don't know who Swami is. For a new devotee, how do we spread the message of Swami? Is the question raised in one of the interviews. And then Swami said they need not have faith, but they should first have love for either Swami or for the experience. And that will automatically lead them to faith, and that will strengthen their faith because they'll obviously experience out of love. That's what I wanted to add there, Sairam.
Very nice.
I think Brother Dasan has already said, first you develop love, then you have faith, then you marry, and then you get the real experience. Okay. Okay, I think it's 4:30 or 4:28. So I think we'll close today. And thanks to everyone for nicely discussing. We'll continue with the study next week. Saira. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Sairam, brother.
Sairam, Sairam.